When the actress behind a certain role is breathtakingly beautiful, it's easier for viewers to forgive her transgressions on screen. We've seen this happen time and time again. It seems that the prettier an actress is, the more difficult it is to hate the character she's playing. Here's a breakdown of some of the most beloved blonde characters of all time, who probably didn't deserve as much forgiveness as they got from audiences. Daenerys Targaryen on Game of Thrones. The writers of Game of Thrones were dropping hints along the way that Daenerys wasn't exactly the right person to be rooting for. They were setting her up to become the villain in the final season by having her follow in the same footsteps as her father, the Mad King. Yet when people reflect on Daenerys, they still think of her in a positive way, with frustration that her arc ended so tragically. On her way to the top, Daenerys crucified the masters of Meereen, burned the Dothraki lords, kept her dragons in cages, inflicted the loot train attack, killed Varys, and sieged King's Landing. Regardless of her laundry list of problematic actions, fans still love to love her. Cassie Howard on Euphoria. Cassie is visibly beautiful, which means fans of Euphoria cut her a lot of slack. But at the end of the day, she isn't exactly a good person at her core. Cassie is obsessed with male validation, and she's willing to do anything and everything to receive attention and love. Her behavior borders on pathetic and desperate. She's so motivated to be loved that she's even willing to pursue a relationship with her best friend's ex-boyfriend. That betrayal in and of itself is enough to make people dislike Cassie, yet fans of Euphoria still remain obsessed with her. Jenny Humphrey on Gossip Girl. While it's true that there are tons of Gossip Girl fans who found Jenny to be insufferable during her time on the show, there are still loads of Jenny apologists who simply don't think she should be criticized. One of the big reasons Jenny apologists don't believe Jenny should be criticized for her actions is because they acknowledge that she is such a beautiful girl. Taylor Momsen is the actress who plays Jenny, and it's true that she is lovely. But the character of Jenny was always doing things that were shady and despicable. A couple of the worst things she did include trying to steal Nate Archibald from Serena van der Woodsen and selling drugs with Damien Dalgard. Piper Chapman on Orange is the new Black. There weren't many breathtakingly beautiful inmates to admire in episodes of Orange is the New Black, which meant that Piper often stole the show as the prettiest face in every single episode. Piper was a character who didn't necessarily belong in jail, but she ended up locked up behind bars over a regrettable mistake she made when she was college-aged. She lost 18 months of her life behind bars and continued doing stupid things the entire time she was in prison. She cheated on her fiancé, she manipulated other inmates, and she didn't necessarily know how to show empathy towards others. Nevertheless, fans of the show still rooted for her until the finale. Camille on Emily in Paris. It would be foolish to pretend that Camille isn't stunningly beautiful on Emily in Paris, but it would also be a lie to state that she's a good person simply because she has a pretty face. Camille humiliated Emily on multiple occasions over their joint jealous feelings for Gabrielle. At one point, she even called Emily an illiterate sociopath. Truly, it was pretty rude. Regardless of her rudeness, fans of Emily in Paris just can't seem to get enough of Camille whenever she gets more screen time. Rosalie Cullen on Twilight. The Twilight movies were all the rage when they were still hitting theaters year by year. Rosalie Cullen was aggressively mean to Bella Swan for no real reason at all. She came across as self-centered, bitchy, and judgmental. Thanks to her bright blonde hair and pretty face, there are loads of Rosalie fans who simply label her bad attitude as feistiness and fierceness. Like, give us a break! Betty Cooper in Riverdale. Forgiving Betty Cooper for all her terrible mistakes in Riverdale is a simple task for plenty of fans who think she's super pretty. Lily Reinhart is the actress who plays Betty, and it's obvious that Lily is absolutely gorgeous. But a lot of Betty's actions were hypocritical, harsh, and downright unforgivable. As a character, Betty seems to always receive forgiveness from viewers because Lily was the gorgeous actress bringing the role to life. Grace Bowman on The Secret Life of the American Teenager. The cookie-cutter persona of Grace Bowman on The Secret Life of the American Teenager is only one layer of the character. Her constant criticism of other characters for embracing their sexuality was beyond unforgivable and annoying. The fact that she tried to take the blame for her father's death because she lost her virginity was also absolutely ridiculous. She also hooked up with her best friend's ex-boyfriend, Ricky. No matter what Grace did in episodes of The Secret Life of the American Teenager, viewers constantly craved more of her, and her aesthetic beauty is probably the biggest reason why. Caroline Forbes in The Vampire Diaries. Plenty of people who watched The Vampire Diaries had love for Caroline Forbes since she was a pretty girl who was definitely easy on the eyes. In reality, Caroline wasn't the nicest character in the batch. She was extremely judgmental of Elena, constantly proving herself to be a hypocrite and always acting holier than thou. One example? She criticized Elena for sleeping with Damon, but then she went ahead and hooked up with Klaus. Regardless of her indiscretions, Vampire Diaries fans continue loving her. Alison DiLaurentis, from Pretty Little Liars. You think most people would be irritated by a character like Alison DiLaurentis, since she was constantly stirring up drama and wreaking havoc in the lives of her friends. The night she disappeared alone was purely chaotic. Yet there are tons of fans of the show who forgive her for all her wrongdoings simply because they love looking at her. Alison is definitely a gorgeous character who's pleasant to look at, but that doesn't take away from how unforgivable most of her actions really were. She treated her best friends horrendously. Which of these blonde beauties still gets forgiveness from you despite their bad behaviors? Let us know in the comments.